Hey guys, welcome to another video. Thank you for being here with me. Today, let's talk about how fear is a superpower. I would have never believed this when I was going through panic attacks and when I was in a near constant state of anxiety for most of my life. The only times I wasn't feeling anxious was when I was like consuming a substance or having sex. And there's nothing wrong with these things, but just when I never ever like let myself feel the anxiety for long. I always would I gotta do this now, I gotta watch this show, I gotta consume this food, I gotta, I gotta have sex, or I gotta drink or smoke weed, or go gamble, work. There was always something that I would put in front of myself and that would absorb me, that would take me from feeling my anxiety and feeling my fear, because that's where anxiety comes from. That's where anxiety and anger, blame, guilt, all of these lower emotions, they really stem from fear. And so in avoiding my anxiety and fear through my whole life, what I was doing is I was keeping myself from experiencing my superpower. And when we don't allow ourselves to feel our fear, we cut ourselves off from the beautiful gifts that fear is trying to give us. And this was something that I had to learn the hard way. I did not choose to open to my fear. I was drugged, like my hands were in the sand. I was being drugged into my fear, right? That's what a spiritual or a Kundalini awakening will do. It will say you're no longer going to hide from your fears. You're no longer going to be able to distract and numb yourself, and you're not avoiding this anymore. So there's a saying, at first you start chasing the divine, and then the divine starts chasing you. And I was such a big seeker in my 20s. I read like all these books, all the classics, always trying to absorb information and learn. And I was always thinking there's got to be more than this materialistic world of form. There's got to be more than just making a bunch of money and accumulating objects. Something isn't right here. Why can't I understand what there is? Like, I couldn't connect what more was, though. I just knew there was more. And so I was seeking and seeking and seeking. And while I was seeking, I was trying to deny and repress all the anxiety and the fear. But then the Kundalini came a knocking, and then I started feeling more fear than I have ever felt in my entire life. More fear than I knew possible. It was like just like these oceans of like ocean-sized terror coming through. It was just like vast quantities of it, and it was so overwhelming that I thought I was going to die. I thought, is this how I'm going to die? I'm going to be swallowed up by terror. Holy shit, it was intense. But because I could no longer avoid my fear, because all of that repressed fear from this life and probably other lifetimes and generations or whatever was just surging up, and it was just coming up, I had to literally open to it and surrender to it. There was no other way. And what I found is, as I would open to the fear, as another layer of fear would come up, and I would open to that layer, and another layer would come up, I would start to get deeper and deeper and deeper into my spaciousness of self. Literally my self would deepen. And I remember moments like this very clear. I would spend all night literally shaking with so much terror purging out of me. And I could just feel it coming up, and I would have uncontrollable fearful thoughts and just really dark thoughts, and I would just try not to touch the thoughts, and I would just let the energy come out. And then the next morning I have to go do a sales job and talk to people all day. I'd wake up still terrified, but I'd just go into the store, and I would just literally be having these nightmarish thoughts about darkness and all of a sudden a customer would come in and it'd be my turn to go up and greet the customer and try to sell them some furniture. And oh my God, I would just be like, fuck. But I would go up and I would start talking to them. And I found that the talking was actually really grounding for me. It's like their presence and our interaction really grounded me. But the fear was always still so prevalent. And it was so, while it was happening, I was becoming so like, I was becoming so immensely impressed with myself. Like, holy shit, dude. You are having a Kundalini awakening and a lifetime's worth of fear is literally purging out of you in this moment, and you're still talking to these strangers and like somehow selling them something and connecting with them, and I was staying open to the fear the whole time. Even when I was talking to people, I wouldn't repress the anxiety and the fear and all that. I would just let it come up. And it was a really crazy way to like face the fear of like, you're in the purging stage of a Kundalini awakening and now you got to go talk to a stranger. And you got to be the one to go up to them and like, hey, what's up? But I would be authentic. If I wasn't like, hey, what's up? I'd just be like, hi. I can't replicate it right now. But here's the point I'm getting to. So I would have that whole day of sales and the fear would always still be there, but I just worked through it. And then I remember going into Natural Grocers, the one bright spot for me of Midland, Texas that I love to go to. I knew the manager, some of the cashiers. It was a great place. And I just remember standing in line one day after a day like that, purging fear, and just like feeling this not giving a fuck anymore vibe in me. Like, holy shit, nothing fucks with me. Like, if I can do what I just did, and this was many days I would do this, if I can do what I just did and face all that fear and open to that fear, like, this external world isn't anything anymore. Like, there's no, like, I just remember feeling like so fucking powerful and so just like victorious. Like, I am free now. I am so much more free than I was at the beginning of the day when the fear was in me, because I had just walked towards it all day talking to people and just open to it. And I remember just finally for the first time in my life being like unafraid to speak my truth to the cashier, like just little things. Like, she had her hair dyed one day. This is one of my favorite cashiers, super sweet girl. And she had her hair dyed, I don't remember, I think it was like purple or blue. And I said, I love the color of your hair. And like, I would never, and that sounds weird to say, like I would never just compliment people, but I didn't feel comfortable or something, but I just felt, what I'm trying to say is I would just feel fearless in my interactions with people from then on, because like once we face the fear inside, there's nothing out here we realize that's scary. The only reason out here seems scary is because it was reflecting the fear we didn't want to face inside of us. When we face the fear in here, there's no circumstances, there's no crazy, we don't like fear things happening, we don't project these bad things in our life. We just transcend all of that, and it's just, and we transcend it through opening to the fear inside of us and letting it come up and like moving through it with gusto and courage and fearlessness. That's what openness is. It's just fearlessness. And I just, those were some of the most powerfully transformative days of my life. Early in the Kundalini awakening, after the crisis stage for sure, but still very early in it when I was working through a lot of darkness. Most days were really hard. Very rarely was there like a normal, stable day. You know, I was just healthy enough to like, I was like, it was literally life giving me exactly the amount I could handle. Like right up to the edge. And it was a beautiful thing to experience. And there's nothing like opening to your fear and realizing how, when you do, how powerful you are, and that this fear, this darkness is actually a superpower if we will just let it come up. And today, I can sense there's still, obviously, I'm not like, I don't know, I'm not worked through it completely. I don't know if we ever are, maybe we are, but I have, you know, maybe a little, but God, it's just incredible how like my body feels more spacious, and like there's just nothing, not much scares me out here anymore. And it's a very freeing and liberating thing to be able to just do what you want to do and not be afraid of what's going to happen, you know? Like this like a YouTube video like this. There's no way I could have made this type of thing, or this type of channel, of course. Or just how I feel like I can interact with people in person, and over, you know, people, I can interact with them in any way, just so open, and like I can just be myself. And because I've faced the like fears about, you know, nothing bad's gonna happen if you just be who you are. And to be who you are, we do have to learn who we are. And that's what the fear is teaching you. The fear, you've repressed it your whole life because you haven't wanted to listen to who you really are, probably because it is in conflict with your social conditioning. And that is a threat to what you perceive as your safety. You perceive, you know, being accepted in society as who you're supposed to be, as safe. And if you were to let the truth of you come up, you think that maybe you'd be rejected and shunned. And maybe you would from the people you're around right now, temporarily. But even if that was true, you would also, you know, the universe doesn't like empty spaces. You would also be pulled into new connections that represent the truth of who you are. And these new connections, you will actually be able to be super authentic and in your truth. And they're going to be so much more like nourishing, and they're going to enhance they're going to enhance your vibration. And when we're being fake, we're being just drained. You can just feel it. It's just out of alignment. And so fear, if we're afraid of our fear, we're going to be acting inauthentically a lot. And we're going to be making a lot of compromises. And we're not going to be living the life that we really want to be living. And this is exhausting. And this is why we'll get sick a lot and be just not at our highest operating potential. We just won't be, you know, allowing, because your inner being will join you when you are being authentic and true and courageous. That's where you feel your inner being. And when you're synced with your inner being and aligned with your inner being, it can flow through you, and it can really empower you to just take the most aligned actions, and it will feel effortless. It's not going to be a struggle. Whereas when you're being inauthentic and not facing your fears and repressing, everything you do probably feels like a struggle, and it's just hard and difficult, and it's just like, that's a good thing, because life is trying to tell you this is not the way. There is an easier way. The easier way is to open to your fear, to feel it, to feel what you haven't wanted to feel your whole life, to embrace your uniqueness, your unique expression of who you really are, and then to just, it's not easy at first, but once you do it the first time, something changes in you. Something on a deep level clicks, and you realize this is the path. There is no other way. There is no more suppressing or running from my fear. And every day your movement becomes one of opening to your fears and just allowing them to arise, and then allowing them to change you and to mold you into the powerful, creative, loving, compassionate being that you are and that you meant to come here to be. That's my message today. Maybe all over the place. I've got a lot of energy today, so I just felt like it was important for me to come on and share with you guys. And I hope that this video resonates with you. And thank you so much for liking my videos, subscribing, and commenting. It's been really fun to see the channel grow. And I really look forward to connecting with you all in the next video. Namaste.